What up, everybody? Good morning and a very happy Monday to you all. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also streaming up online at sportstalk1051.com. Video streams up and rolling. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, or not X, Twitch. And you got your smart devices, smart speakers. Download the app, take her on the go here too. But happy Monday, everybody. Appreciate you making us a part of your start. If you are already up and at 'em, what do we got on our game plan for us this morning? What a weekend it's been, and we have lots to catch up on. Brewers dropping their series against the Diamondbacks, apparently forgetting sometimes that games go 9 innings. Not 8.5 or go through 8. But Brewers had a shot. They should have won Saturday against the Diamondbacks to secure at least a series win, 4-0 heading into the ninth and losing 5-4. And then yesterday, 2-0 into the fifth, losing 5-2. So Brewers dropping that series after picking up a 7-0 win on the opener, the opening game of this series. And we got to see our first appearance from Jose Quintana, and it was a pretty fantastic appearance for him. 7 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, no walks, couple Ks. It was a typical Quintana performance, one that we have seen quite a bit from the opposite side of things. But he went out there and was masterful in his Brewers debut. But that's kind of where it ends for this series. So Brewers are back to 500. And things won't get much easier. They do get to return home, but they've got the Tigers waiting for them tonight, including Scooble getting a start for the Tigers. So it'll be a tough test here for the Brewers. But we'll recap that series from this past weekend and take a look to the Tigers this weekend and give you an update on the likes of Brandon Woodruff, a big step for him this past weekend. So we'll talk a little bit about that and get you some more updates where everything's kind of standing here with some of the injuries for the Brewers. So Brewers talk coming up here. We've got Hoops talk, Bucks clinching the 5th seed on Saturday. Is it Saturday or Friday? Friday, excuse me. Friday, clinching the 5th seed on Friday. And then picking up a win yesterday in overtime when practically nobody was playing. But hey, shout out Pat Connaughton, 43 points. But so it sets up for Bucks taking on the Pacers in the first round of the NBA playoffs, which they will get that game going on Saturday afternoon, it sounds like. Yeah, Saturday at noon will be the first game for the Bucks taking on the Pacers, and the Bucks will be on the road. So we know the whole playoff bracket. Cavs are the 1, Celtics are the 2, Knicks are the 3 seed taking on the Pistons. As we mentioned, number 4 Pacers taking on number 5 Bucks. For your play-in, you got the Magic as the 7 seed taking on the 8 seed Hawks. Whoever wins that game will take on the Celtics. The loser of that game will take on the winner between the 9 and the 10, which is the Bulls and the Heat. On the Western Conference side of things, you've got the Thunder as the top seed, Rockets as the 2 seed, Lakers as a 3 seed, taking on the 6-seeded Timberwolves, and the 4th-seeded Denver Nuggets taking on the 5th-seeded Clippers. And the Warriors are the 7th seed taking on the 8th-seeded Grizzlies. Whoever wins that game will take on the Rockets. And the loser of that will take on the winner between the 9th-seeded Kings and the 10th-seeded Mavericks. So that is your NBA playoff brackets. So we'll talk a little hoops and such. We've got Masters champion Rory McIlroy. I'll admit it, I didn't think that I had a little bit of, shouldn't say a little bit of, but quite a bit of like, yeah, kind of meh heading into this thing. But boy, do the Masters know how to have a little dramatic, a little flair of dramatic flair in that final round. What an epic final round. With Rory heading in as the lead, then losing the lead right away, up and down, back and forth. Could have, if he would have hit the birdie putt in the 18th. Could have won it there, missed it, forces an overtime where Justin Rose, who entered today, 7 back after being the first round leader. So it's Rose, McIlroy for the Green Jackets in the playoff, and Rose hits a nice approach shot. But Rory does it one better and hits that birdie putt to get the career Grand Slam, becoming just the 6th golfer of all time to have that career Grand Slam, and the first since T-Dub. It's been a while. Been a hot minute. So, but what an epic day yesterday for the Masters. So we'll hit that up, especially when we got our guy, Mr. Justice Cleveland, who will be joining us coming up in the 7 o'clock hour. We'll also, and I just dropped that, we'll also do a little local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center with Justice Cleveland coming up in the next hour too. So got that on the docket. We'll continue a little Packers potential prospect series. We're going to hit 3 of them. One might be kind of a wild card pick, but I'm throwing them into the conversation just because, who knows, but Carson Schlesinger, linebacker from UCLA. That's kind of my wild card. Not really hearing a whole lot about him with the Packers, but I'm going to tell you why I'm including him in as our potential prospects coming up when we get to that a little bit later on. Also included on there, we're going to talk about James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee, edge rusher, and an offensive lineman that the Packers have brought in for a top 30 visit, Josh Simmons from Ohio State. So we're going to do three potential prospects for the Packers. It is I'm not saying, but I'm just saying Monday. So best ones will get shout outs on the air. So text those on over to us on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Or comment on the video streams or hit me up on the socials with that. So we'll do that. We got a little crystal ball game time we're going to play coming up in the 7 o'clock hour as well. Plus, whatever else you have to say on that texting line, or hit me up with an email or on the socials or on the video stream. So we've got lots to get to here this morning. Gonna cover a bunch of stuff. Let's jump right into it. Coming up on the leadoff, we'll talk a little bit about the Brewers weekend series against the Diamondbacks. Started off good Friday nights. Jose Quintana pitching a masterful game, getting some run support. But then looked like maybe the Brewers were they should have on Saturday, should have picked up a win against their former ace, Corbin Burns. I mean, putting up a couple in the seconds, one in the sixth, maybe a little bit more insurance in the ninth with one, but Trevor McGill, not having that. Piamps not having. I mean, it was a collapse in that final inning in the back end by both those guys, and Brewers allowing 5 runs in the ninth to lose that game. And then yesterday, with Freddie Peralta on the mound, Freddie gets the no decision. He went 5 1/3, giving up 4 hits, 2 earned runs. Did issue 4 walks, struck out 6, but having that 2-0 lead. Going in the 5th, Diamondbacks cutting it in half, and then they tie it up in the 6th, take the lead in the 7th, scoring another run, and then adding a couple more in the bottom of the 8th to secure that W against the Brewers and taking that series, which, man, the Brewers had it right in front of them, for crying out loud. Now begins a series with the Tigers. They do return home for 3 games against the Tigers. Little off day on Thursday before a weekend series against the Athletics. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we'll hit up an update on Brandon Woodruff, a good update on Brandon Woodruff. A lot of positive stuff here. So, but we'll take that first break and then get things rolling. Got the leadoff coming up. We'll start it off with some Brewers. We'll hit up some Bucks chat. Got some potential prospects to talk about, the Masters, all that good stuff. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Easy math question for you all. When you add spring and baseball together, what do you get? Simple, easy. Brats. Fire up those grills for some tailgate parties or backyard barbecues this spring with some brats from Mike's Star Market. Whether it's the Bloody Mary or beer brats, Mike's Star Market has so many different options for you to choose from that you will be the talk of your tailgate party or neighborhood cookout. Celebrate the beginning of spring and baseball season by making a stop at Mike's Star Market, located on the west side of Eau Claire. I would have to stop there and get some snack sticks and some of their Bloody Mary beef strips over there to make that road trip over to Green Bay next week. So that's coming up already next week. Countdown is getting closer. It's inching down, man. Hard to kind of believe it, but it's here. It's almost here. So, all right, let's roll up, or let's get things rolling here this morning on the lead off. We're going to talk a little bit about the Brewers weekend. So let's go back to Friday night. We get Quintana. We thought it was going to be Quintana last Friday morning when we were on the program. That was his first day back. It was a little TBD, to be determined at that point. And it was like, okay, it was probably going to be him. And lo and behold, they activated him. And boy, I don't think you can ask for a better first performance or debut with a new team. Going 7 innings, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, and a couple Ks, inducing a few double plays in that game. I mean, we're very familiar with Quintana going up against him as Brewers fans over the years, and we've seen these type of performances before. So it's good to actually be on this right side. I know Pat Murphy kind of talked about it too after the game. It's actually good to be on this side of one of those performances from Quintana. So, I mean, I think that just blew out the expectations out of the water for a first game. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. He threw 80 pitches too in 70 or 7 innings, just 80 pitches, 50 of them going for strikes. So I was kind of wondering if it was going to be Quintana. Okay, is it going to be 5 innings? Is he going to be on an innings count or a pitch count or anything like that because it's his first outing? But dude only threw 80 times and went through 7. So I mean, fantastic performance from Quintana. And odds are he's not going to have every single start's not going to be like that. But boy, he set the bar pretty darn high. So, and it's just, as we said on Friday too, it's kind of that first step in the process to getting a lot of these guys back in that starting rotation. It's getting closer. He was kind of like the first one, right? It's kind of like that first one. Now it's going to be Tobias Myers coming up here soon, and Brandon Woodruff, who we'll talk about in just a second. So, but fantastic performance from Jose Quintana on Friday night. And that was pretty much, the last of all the positivity from the Brewers this past week. And it looks like they were on the path to at least securing a series win with Saturday's game. But and against Corbin Burnes, their former ace, but they couldn't get the job done. I mean, they had it won. They had them beat. And when you look at these last 2 games on Saturday and Sunday, having leads against Burnes and Zach Gallen, I mean, they had plenty of opportunities to get it done. And they couldn't. They couldn't close it out. And it's frustrating because when you have those opportunities against a couple of really darn good pitchers, you got to close the deal. You got to take advantage of that, and they couldn't do that. But Saturday night's game, having a 4-0 lead going into the 9th, you're thinking, got this. We got this. We're going to have a series win against the Diamondbacks. We're going to have a win against Corbin Burnes. We're going to take the first 2 and put ourselves in a position to potentially sweep this series with the Diamondbacks. But to allow 5 runs in the bottom of the 9th Oh, incredibly frustrating, just demoralizing. And then you come back on Sunday and you put up 2 right away in the first, thanks to Contreras with another home run. I'm going to talk about Contreras here in a second, too. So you're jumping out to an early lead. And you're kind of cruising through until you get to that fifth. And Peralta's, he's okay. He issued a few walks and such. Wild pitch allowed a run. But you put yourself in a position, you gave your pitching staff a little bit of run support right away. And pitching staff just couldn't hold down offense, couldn't get it going after that first inning. After that first inning, that was it. But to have that lead heading into the bottom of the fifth, they had their chances. They had their opportunities to at least secure a series win and possibly maybe even sweep the Diamondbacks here and couldn't get it done. And it's disappointing and it's incredibly frustrating. And now you've come back home to Milwaukee where you're going to be going up against another pretty darn good pitcher tonight with Skubal on the mound, Tariq Skubal for the Tigers. So got him going with Alexander on the mound for the Brewers tonight. And then you got Flaherty coming on the mound for the Tigers tomorrow. So, I mean, it's going to be another tough battle for these first couple games with this Tigers series. And if the Brewers are in a similar position where they have the lead, and they have the lead later on in these games against these two starters, you better figure out a way to close it out. You got to finish these games. You can't just play 8.5 innings, 6 innings, whatever the case. You got to play a full 9 to flip and close these games out. We saw it in the Mets playoff series last year, right? It stinks. It sucks. I mentioned Contreras, though. When you look at kind of his last few games here, I mean, Contreras looks like he's starting to, after a slow start, kind of pick up to the normal Contreras that we kind of expected in his last 27 at bats. William Contreras has hit 3 home runs with 10 RBIs. He's hitting .370 with an on base of a .419, and he is slugging .778 right now. So Contreras really using this road trip to, when you factor in the Colorado series and this Arizona series, William Contreras, after that slow start, kind of coming around now and reminding us a little bit about, oh yeah, that dude's still pretty darn good at the plate. He's still pretty darn good. So that's a positive. If we're looking at some positives take away from this road trip, you look at what Contreras has done, and it's like, okay, yep, maybe turn the corner here a little bit. You look at, Jackson Chourio. You look at his last 7 games. I know it was just like there's just 6 of them on this road trip, but for crying out loud, dude's got 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, hitting .323, .839 slugging, .313 on base. Didn't have a hit in yesterday's game, but this kid 5 home runs so far this season. It's just, I wonder, and I know this is going to be a kind of a hot, I don't know if I'd call it a hot take, maybe a bold take or anything like that, but are we going to get to a point with Jackson Chourio where we're talking about what else can he do that wouldn't surprise us? Giannis territory. Not saying he's going to accomplish as the great things that Giannis has already accomplished in his career, but Giannis is at that point, and Aaron Rodgers was at that point too. But like, are we going to get to that point with these guys where it's like, or are we going to get to a point with Jackson Chourio where it's like, you're not that surprised, or he still finds ways to surprise you? It sets that bar so incredibly high, so dang high that it's like, if he just has a really good game and by a lot of standards is just like a fantastic game for a lot of other people, it's like, yeah, that's a typical Jackson game. Kind of like Giannis, right? Just a casual triple-double for Giannis. It's kind of casual. We've become so accustomed to it now. And I don't want to get to that point and set that bar so high for Jackson yet, just entering his second year, and he's only 21 years old. But I feel like that's the path that Cheerio is on right now, is that he's going to continue to do all these great things and this fantastic stuff, that he's going to set that bar so incredibly high that we're going to be so spoiled as Brewers fans. We're going to be like, yeah, that's kind of the expectation now, kind of the honest territory, kind of the Aaron Rodgers territory for the longest time. I know that's really high praise for Cheerio entering 21, and I'm not saying that he's going to be at that level in the next few years, but that's where I feel like the arrow is trending right now, where we're going to have this mindset, this belief, like, or just like this thought that, yeah, that's typical Cheerio numbers. We're kind of used to it now. But boy, this kid easily surpassing the expectations I initially thought of. I mean, I thought he'd be a good player, but I thought, okay, last year coming in with barely any experience at AAA, no major league level experience. It's like, okay, there might be some growing pains, especially in year one, maybe a little bit in year two. Like, dude is just blowing it out of the water right now. It is so fun to watch this guy. It's so amazing to watch this kid play. Some good news on the pitching side for some guys coming back for the Brewers, though. Let's start off with Brandon Woodruff. Brandon Woodruff over the weekend, getting a minor league start with Nashville. Pitched 3 2/3, 5 punch-outs, 5 strikeouts. So Brandon Woodruff getting his starts at Nashville for AAA. He went 66 pitches, 4 hits, a couple earned runs, 5 strikeouts, and a couple of walks. So fantastic step for Brandon Woodruff to go out there and get those 66 innings. But also, we had these spring training steps and marks for him. But now to be in an actual game in that, he's probably, I believe they said it's a 30-day rehab assignment. So I would have to imagine that he's going to do the full 30 days down in Nashville before calling him up. But just an incredible, huge step for Brandon Woodruff. And now I think we could say that countdown is on for Woodruff to return to this Brewers team. Now that he has made his first rehab start at Nashville, I think we're going to see him here pretty darn quick. Or not pretty darn quick, but probably in May. But that countdown is, in my opinion, officially on for Brandon Woodruff to be back with the Brewers here. Tobias Myers, too. He also had his second minor league rehab start yesterday. 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk, a strikeout, 60 pitches for Tobias Myers, too. So I feel like Tobias, again, I probably the Athletic series at some point. If I were to wager a guess, I'm going to go with that we're going to see him this weekend against the Athletics. But we had Quintana make his debut on Friday. Tobias is going to be next, I would say, within the week. And then we've got Brandon Woodruff making starts at AAA. Guys are coming back. Aaron Savali apparently, though, did suffer a setback in his rehab to come back. Yeah, he had a setback with his hamstring strain throwing this week. So that's a bummer, but I would have Nestor Cortez just had a child too. So, and he was already on the 15-day IL, but maybe he's going to be starting rehab assignments and such coming up here soon. So, but nonetheless, those two big ones, Woodruff and Tobias, big steps coming back here. Brewers taking on the Tigers starting tonight with Skubal. Then we've got Jack Flaherty on the mound for the Tigers tomorrow. It is going to be a very, very tough test for this Brewers offense. When you look at tonight's matchup, you've got Alexander going for the Crew in this one. When you look at the lineups and the experience and such, not a ton, obviously, when you look at it. Brewers wise, going up against Scuba, I mean, you're talking about maybe one at most three plate appearances. So really, not a lot to write home about. I mean, you can go with Terang, who's 1 for 3. Okay, and that's about it. On the flip side, you got remember too, Scuba's a left-handed pitcher, so another left-handed starting pitcher for the Brewers going up against Alexander, also lefty on the mound. Tyler Alexander. Tigers, there's a few guys that actually have maybe a couple games worth of experience going up against Alexander. Baez has a homer against him in 3 at bats. Then you've got Torres, who's got 7 career at bats, including a home run, and he hits 286 against him. Banez, 5 at bats, hitting 200 against him. So maybe a couple of guys here looks like a couple games worth of experience going up against Tyler Alexander tonight. But offense better be ready for the Brewers. Be really nice if this Brewers team could put up some big numbers early against Skubal and maybe try to get to that pen or such. But when you look at, Tariq, he started the season off 0-2, but I mean, he started off against the Dodgers, went 5 innings, 4 earned runs, just 2 strikeouts. He followed that up with another loss against the Mariners where he went 5 2/3, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, but 8 strikeouts. And then he goes up against the Yankees on the 8th, picks up his first win of the season, goes 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, 6 strikeouts. Offense has to be able to put up a big number against him and get this staff or get Alexander tonight some early run support. Offense has to be ready. Offense has to be on fire tonight. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll finish up the second hour. Bucks officially the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs, going up against the Pacers. We'll hit that up. Coming up next. Spring is here, which means one thing, and that's turkey hunting season. So you've got your tags, you know the dates, you're heading out to the woods, but what's missing? Maybe a new turkey shotgun, maybe some extra shells. Hey, it's time to hit up Tilden Gun. Locally owned and operated, Tilden Gun has the best selection of firearms in the area and all at the best prices in the area. Their expert staff will help you find the hunting firearm that you want and that fits your price range. And if you're not a turkey hunter, but maybe you're in the market for a new deer rifle or you want to check out their wall of handguns, they can help you find just what you're looking for. And if you have a little left over from your tax return this season, hey, purchase something for yourself this year because you deserve it. So give them a visit today at tildengun.com or check out their shop located at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. And if you were out with the kiddos got the first crack this past weekend for the youth turkey hunt. Got any luck? Send us those photos so we can put them up on our photo board on our websites on the outdoors page. All right, so send those on over. Just visit sportstalk1051.com. Click on the outdoors tab, and you'll have the email address up there where you can send those to, so we can get them up on our website. So otherwise, 16th, this Wednesday, right? First season opens up for spring turkey hunting, so best of luck. Be safe, and don't forget to send us those photos if you have any luck, or you just got a cool photo that you want to share too. So, all right, we got about 15 minutes to the top of the hour. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk here in just a little bit. We got some Masters talk coming up here. Just past the top of the 7 o'clock hour, so we got that for sure. Definitely got to talk about that epic Masters tournament, especially the epic final round. Also coming up next hour, we're going to do a little crystal ball game. Also, send me your best. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Best ones, I'll read off on the air. But the Bucks, we know they now are the fifth seed. Everything's set. NBA regular season is in the books. Everything's all set. We've got the play-in, but Bucks are not in the play-in, so we know they will be taking on the Indiana Pacers in a 5-4 matchup. So the Bucks will begin the postseason on the road against the Pacers. Their first game will be on Saturday. It's going to be on Saturday, taking on the Pacers. But the first games, playing games, will start tomorrow. We've got Atlanta taking on Orlando. Then Memphis taking on Golden State. Miami takes on Chicago. Dallas at Sacramento. But and then Friday will be the rest of the play-in matchups, and then everybody else who we already know the matchups for will get going Saturday. And that Bucks and Pacers one is the first one. But if you don't know the bracket, in the Eastern Conference, the Cavaliers are the top seed. They will play the winner. So let's go through really quick. Let's go through the play-in just as a refresher. So Magic are the 7th seed. The Hawks are the 8th seed. Whoever wins that game will play the Celtics, who are the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. The loser between the Magic and the Hawks will play the winner between the Bulls and the Heat. The Bulls are the 9th seed. The Heat are the 10th seed. And then that winner will face the Cavaliers, who are the 1 seed. Knicks are the 3. They take on the Pistons. As we mentioned, Pacers taking on the Bucks. On the Western Conference, you've got the Warriors as the 7th seed, the Grizzlies as the 8th seed, Kings as the 9th, Mavericks as the 10th. Rockets will face the winner between the Warriors and Grizzlies. And the loser of that matchup will play the winner between Kings and Mavericks, and then the winner of that faces the top-seeded Thunder. Lakers are the 3. The Timberwolves got the 6th seed. Nuggets 4. Clippers 5. So that's your NBA bracket right now. So we get another year of Bucks versus Pacers, round 1. And last night, as part of our 715 Fan Speaks poll question brought to you by Post Glass Mirror, we asked fans in the 715, do you think the Bucks will win their first round matchup against the Pacers? After we added the votes on Facebook and on Twitter, 65% said, yes, you believed that the Bucks would win their first playoff round matchup against the Pacers. Oh, okay. I'm not surprised by the voting there. I'm not surprised by it. When you look at the season series between these two, the Bucks took 3 out of 4. Their first one, you got to go back to November. Bucks won 129-117. New Year's Eve, Bucks won 120-112. March 11th, that was that crazy game where looked like the Bucks had it. Fantastic inbounds play from the Pacers. Looked like a football play, setting some like misdirection motion, almost like some inadvertent screens and such. But it allowed Tyrese Halliburton to get off a 3 in the corner. He made it, and then a foul call on Giannis for the end one. Made the free throw. Pacers win that game. And then back on the 15th of March, 4 days after that game, Bucks picked up a 126-119 victory. So, I mean, Bucks, for the most part, yes, they won 3 out of 4. They probably should have had the season sweep. Probably should have had the season sweep against the Pacers. So maybe that gives you a little bit more optimism heading into this matchup. Now, the one thing I will say heading into this series is we don't know about Damian. And Damian Lillard was still playing in those games against the Pacers. So that is a big, big, big loss. Now, you got Bobby Portis back. I understand that and such. And Kevin Porter Jr. is playing some really good basketball, but no Dame in this one. It's going to be a loss if he doesn't play. I'm going to operate under the assumption that he's not going to play in this series. I know there's still a lot of optimism and, trending in that direction and such, but Sham said, Bucks optimistic Dame will be cleared to return at some point during the playoffs. He has an upcoming exam to determine the clearance for postseason play. I'm going to operate under the assumption that he's not going to be, at least in this series. So that's going to be a tough task for the Bucks to try to overcome. Yes, they had success against the Pacers this year, but when you're losing your second best player, it's going to be even more difficult. And this is, to me, a series that I could easily see going 7 games. Because, for one, and it's something that we've kind of talked about, but when you look at the top 6 teams in the Eastern Conference playoffs, and now that both of them, ironically, finished this way, but 2 of the 6 finished with a 500 record on the road. For the longest time, these 2 out of 6 were under 500 on the road. All the other 4 of the top 6 in the East have winning records on the road. But now these 2, Pacers and Bucks, finished the season on the road with a 20-20 record, 500. But for the longest time, for the majority part of the season, they were under 500. But really good at home. 29 wins at home for the Pacers, 27 wins at home for the Bucks. In fact, when you look at home records in the Eastern Conference, Cleveland has the most with 34. Then it's the Pacers with 29. Second most wins at home in the Eastern Conference. Boston's third with 28. Milwaukee's fourth with 27. So when you kind of look at that, it spells out a 7-game series. But again, the wild card for me in this thing is going to be Dame. Now, Bucks are entering the postseason playing some good basketball and riding a little bit of momentum here. They have won their last 8 games in a row. After going through that stretch that dropped them from the 4th seed all the way down to the 6th seed for a hot minute, they have won their last 8 to maybe get some momentum heading into the postseason. Maybe getting a little bit of that momentum back. I think it's going to be a good series. I think if I had to pick a rival for the Bucks, it is the Pacers at this moment. I thought maybe a couple years ago it was going to be the 76ers when Harden was there, and then you had the whole drama back and forth. I mean, there was some bad that lasted a hot minute. But the Pacers one now has kind of developed into that when you go back to last year, even during the regular season of last year, then the NBA Cup tournament and all that. Then you got the postseason from last year. This, I think, is going to be a scrappy series. I think it's going to be a physical series at times. I think there's going to be a lot of trash talking in this series. There's going to be a lot of threes chucked up in this series, a lot of running, mostly from Pacers and the Bucks trying to get back on D. You got two veteran head coaches with Doc and Rick Carlisle, guys who have been in the playoffs. How many times? Guys who have been deep into the finals. I think this series goes 7. But I do think if the Bucks could win game 1 on the road, that is going to be huge. That's huge, I think, for this Bucks team to continue to carry that momentum, but to steal one on the road early and take that home court advantage early, I think is going to be so huge for the Bucks. But they got to take advantage of that. If they do get, a game 1 or a game 2 victory and steal home court, you got to win your games at home then. You can't give it right back to the Pacers. If you're able to get a win on Saturday or a win in game 2 and then you go back to Milwaukee, you better win those games in Milwaukee. You can't lose any of those and give that home court right back to Indiana. But of these playoff matchups, when you're looking at it, with the ones that we already know are set, there's some really good. This to me is easily the best matchup in the Eastern Conference. And I know casual fans or maybe even non-NBA fans are like, well, duh, it's a 4 or 5 matchup. It better be. It's the 2 closest ones. And yeah, you're right. But I think when you factor in everything that went on last year and and even some of the games from the regular season this year and that little bit of a rivalry factor between the Pacers and the Bucks, I think this is going to be a fantastic series. Western Conference, I think, you top to bottom, this is going to be, Thunder to me are like, okay, yep, they're going to move on. I don't care who they play, whether it's going to be, if it is the Warriors, that could be an interesting one. If I'm the Thunder, I'm hoping that the Warriors kind of win their play-in and have to go face the Rockets. If you're the Rockets, you get the 2 seed. You got 52 wins. You're potentially facing a 48-win team of the Warriors. A very veteran, heavy team and playoff Jimmy Butler. So I think that would be worst case scenario for the Rockets. I still would pick the Thunder to beat the Warriors, but I don't think the Warriors would necessarily want to face, or I don't think the Thunder would necessarily want to face the Warriors in the first round. That Warriors team, that 17 Warriors team, I could see making a little bit of run or being that team that nobody wants to face in the first round, whether it's going to be the Thunder or the Rockets. Honestly, if it's the Rockets, I'd be tempted to pick the Warriors to beat the Rockets in a playoff series. But these other matchups, if the Thunder have to play the Grizzlies, Kings, or Mavericks, Thunder are moving on comfortably. But you got Nuggets, Clippers in a 4-5 matchup. Lakers, Nuggets, Clippers, 3-4-5 all finished with 50 wins, 50 and 32. Nuggets, Clippers are going to be a good series. And I really feel like Lakers, Timberwolves, that potentially could be a really good series too in a 3-6. Timberwolves got talent. We saw Anthony Edwards' coming out party last year in the postseason. What's he have in store for us again this year in the postseason? They've got the talent. Lakers now with Luka, obviously a different animal paired up with LeBron over there. There's no question. But I think that could be a really good series too. But if there was a series that I feel like could go 7, the full 7, I'm picking that Bucks and Pacers one. I'm picking that Bucks and Pacers. I'd feel a lot more confident in a Bucks series win if Dame was playing, but until we hear different, I'm going to assume he's not. All right, coming up next hour, we'll talk some Masters. We're going to play a little game I like to call Crystal Ball. We'll do some local sports roundup with JC and EC, Justice Cleveland, sports director from WEAU 13 News. So the spring sports season in full bloom right now. So we'll hit that up. We'll get back to some Brewers chat as well as the Brewers dropping their weekend series against the Diamondbacks. They had their chances. Boy, did they have their chances. We'll see if they can bounce back now that they're at home starting tonight. But they got the Tigers waiting for them with Tariq Skubal and Jack Flaherty. Going to go. Tariq's going tonight. Jack Flaherty's going tomorrow. So Brewers offense better be ready going up against some very, very tough pitching. So, but we'll get back some more Brewers chats coming up here in just a little bit. Don't forget to send me your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I've got mine, but I'll save it for 8:05. A little bit around 8:05 is when I'm going to say mine. But I want you to participate too. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Best ones I will read on the air. Plus, coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, we've got our Packer potential prospect series. I've got 3 of them. One's a little bit of a wild card here. I'm going to go. I got Carson Swessinger. He's a linebacker. You're not really hearing linebacker much for the Packers as a top prospect, but I'm going to throw out a scenario to you when we get to our potential prospect series. Plus, Josh Simmons, offensive tackle from Ohio State, who did take a top 30 visit to the Packers. And then we're going to go with James Pierce Jr., edge rusher from Tennessee. So we're going to hit up 3 as we wrap up this week our potential prospect series with the draft coming at you starting next week. 1 hour in, we got a couple more to go. Lots more to hit up on. Justice Cleveland's going to join us. Local sports roundup. We're going to play a little crystal ball. Masters chats. More Brewers chat coming up too. Stick around. We'll be back after these news updates. Second hour on this Monday morning of April 14th. Hopefully, you're all off to a fantastic start and you're ready to hit up a brand new work week, or maybe you just have a case of the Mondays. That's okay. We all have a case of the Mondays here. Coming up, we'll get back some more Brewers talk. We're going to play a little crystal ball here as well. Quick local sports roundup and such. But we've got Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire from WEAU 13 News, joining us. And it's a perfect day to have Justice on here, too, because Masters weekend's birthday weekend for Justice, too. I mean, you were just born to be a golfer if you were born on like Masters weekend, sir. So,
oh, it's perfect.
But I mean, dude, what a fantastic Masters final. I mean, drama, anxiety. To me, this proves why golfers have some of the best mental game of all. I mean, I thought Roy was going to collapse, especially going into the playoff. I'm like, oh, no, not again. We're going to be talking about Rory and just, and I mean, and Rose didn't lose it.
No.
Right? Justin Rose did not lose it in that playoff hole.
He did everything he was supposed to do.
Yeah, and it was just a fantastic shot by Rory, that approach shot to get in for birdie. And you could just tell the emotion and just the weight lifted. I mean, shout out to CBS and the camera crew too when he was walking off and going to the clubhouse. Just Jim Nantz is the GOAT, the poetic justice
knows.
he has and everything and all that. So, but I don't know. What else can you say about what we saw yesterday? I mean, that's why the Masters proves it's not only the best golf tournament, but one of the best sporting events in the world, in my opinion.
I mean, the drama played out so much in that. I mean, it was epically exhausting to watch. I think you start living and dying with these guys on every stroke. And that's really what, I mean, with Rory, it was, I want Rory to win, but it's almost like you didn't want him to lose in that fashion too. I think I more didn't want him to have another collapse, and that's what people gloss over the four majors and then start talking about the fact that he's, collapsed in these moments. But for him to have the mental toughness, because I just thought like that going into that playoff after missing that putt, another shorter putt to win a major, I thought it was over.
I did too. I did too. Yeah.
I think I was more nervous for that tee shot than anything.
Yeah.
Because like if that tee shot goes awry and we saw a lot of these playoffs end on that first tee shot because somebody just hits it somewhere that they're not supposed to because they're all jazzed up.
Yep.
But Rose hit a perfect tee shot. Yep. Rory hit a even more perfect tee shot with his strength, getting it to where it is. And then that's, coming off of a shank. And anybody who's ever played golf and has, had a shank or had a bad mishit with a club, the worst feeling is picking that club up again and having to try to deliver that time because you're like, in the back of your mind, you are just thinking this could happen again. And it's happened to him twice on the back nine.
Yep.
But for him to stuff it, I thought it was going in for a second there. That close. Thankfully, a 2-foot putt instead of a 4-foot little with any break or anything for him to get that. Rose almost makes it. I think we glossed over it. I almost forgot about because of how much drama was filling with Rory in those final couple holes. Rose making that putt on 18, which could have been just a throwaway moment for him.
Yep.
He could have been like, I'll make it. I'm in. I'm not. But I mean,
that's going to get, I think, lost, and it shouldn't.
Yeah.
That birdie putt on 18 to essentially force the playoff.
That to me was just the guts that Justin Rose showed on the back nine, being down 7 strokes at one time.
Yep.
You could really throw in the towel. I mean, a place like that's so mentally exhausting. It could be like, okay, I can't do this anymore. But yeah, and I kind of feel for Justin Rose because he's got the one major.
Yep.
And there's now 2 times at the Masters, 3 times now at the Masters where he's had a chance and just hasn't been able to get it there. And
you could tell he was the bad guy. Everybody wanted Rory, so you had that pressure.
Yep.
Over there too.
And I thought he was going to collapse because the way those final 5 holes, any little noise, you could tell he was stepping off. But credit to him, like he stayed locked in, and the fact that like no one else made that run. Olberg was close until those final 2 holes. Olberg was right there, and I thought to me he was the guy who was going to sneak in there, kind of like a NASCAR race where the leaders are battling each other, and the guy in third But I really thought Oberg had a chance, and then he hit the top of that bunker, and that was it. I jokingly said Patrick Reed took his eagle that he needed. It was like right before I was texting some friends. I'm like, yeah, I think Oberg's, I can see Oberg like holing out here on 18. Then right after that, Reed makes the eagle, and then Oberg hits the top of the bunker, and I'm just like, oh, there goes that idea. So, but yeah, I love this event. It is, again, I think maybe because it's usually around my birthday, it's just to me such a special event. It's almost like you're sad once it's over. It's like a melancholy. It's like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to watch this anymore. It was just a fun tournament. You had like you go back to Thursday of Freddie Couples, and, the Bernhard
under,
Bernhard Longer playing in his final event. And again, I saw him at the U.S. Seniors Open there win that event, and he's just a machine. And what a career for him.
Yep.
And then Saturdays, just everything's going crazy. I watched on 18 when Bryson lined up that putt, and it started going. I'm like, he's gonna make this, and went in, and I'm like, here we go. So you had all that drama with Bryson and Rory. I mean, it was everything you could ask for. I mean, CBS had to have loved it after maybe what was kind of a lackluster, not that the tournament was, the final was, the NCAA tournament in a whole wasn't as exciting. The final game ended up
being. Because I was wrong, but I thought heading into this match, I'm like, okay, Tiger's not in it. They need something, just to maybe draw, and boy, did they get it. I mean, I thought the way that was going to suck in a lot of people is that Rory had to be in contention. and he was, and it was in dramatic flair, but I mean, I know it's recency and everybody's gonna be talking about it, but I mean, even Nance said it. He can't remember, or it's at least on the short list of one of the more chaotic final rounds that he's ever called or witnessed at the Masters.
I can't really think of one that was like this.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of, we've had like the playoffs happen, the guys miss the putts, but I feel like the amount of drama, the Rory hitting a great shot, Rory then just hitting an awful shot, then coming back with a great shot, missing the putt, then coming back with it was built for TV. And again, like you said, this is why the Masters is probably the best one, because it's the familiarity with that place and the fact that its teeth came out there on that back. I mean, guys had a chance. I mean, if Scheffler could have gotten a couple of putts to fall or hadn't struggled, or he's right there.
Yeah.
I mean, he ends up now fourth.
Yeah.
After all that played out, Scotty Scheffler is I got it yesterday. He had a first, a 10th, a first, and a fourth in his last four Masters. I think he's going to be a guy who's going to be in contention every year he plays for the next 15, 20 years, because he's just so good at remembering the place. So, yeah, this will be one of those, I think that'll be ingrained in my memory. I think the Tiger in 2019 is the last one that really, I think captured people. Not that there's anything wrong with like Scheffler, Johnson winning too, and then Rahm, but this one just had the fireworks that
I can't remember another guy besides Tiger where you had the gallery chanting someone's name.
Yeah.
It's
similar to 80. I think 86, it goes down kind of in that vein. I think 86 will still end up being the one that will always be remembered.
Right.
But this one was right there. And just for the pure, sheer drama.
And then the 05 chip in from Tiger, Vern.
Well, people forget, though, he bogeyed the next two holes and went into a playoff.
Good nugget. That's right.
Like if he doesn't make that chip in, he doesn't even play. Like there's no playoff. He doesn't even win that one.
Yeah.
So
good little nugget. I forgot about that. And then, of course, Phil's finally him jumping up in that, too. I mean, there's just iconic moments. But yeah, you're right, Jack's, because it was Jack too.
Right, exactly.
It was Jack. But
I remember the 98 one too, and I think that was Marco Mira winning in 98.
Yep.
I just remember that one because that was the Jack was in battling and finished like tie for fifth or something like that. And then just as a kid, just being like, wow, this guy's 58 years old or whatever he was at that point and still can go out there. And
I saw somebody repost Tigers when he just dominated that field. What was like after, because he shot over par in the first round too.
Yeah. Yep.
And finished like 1800, and second place was Tom Watson.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. It was like Tiger had what, 1800, Watson was 600, I think, or something like that.
There was somebody else too, like a bigger, like Tom Kite was.
Yes.
Kite, was in
Davis Love was on that first page of the leaderboard too. So
I think golf's in a healthy spot. I know the split doesn't help anything, but I think the amount of superstars, I think a guy like Oberg not even slowly. I mean, he's just shot up the charts, and now with another top 10 finish at the Masters.
Yep.
I think it's really in a good place. And yeah, what a fun, you had everything you need. And, like there's the Bryson fans, you got, and it seemed like, I almost feel like that stare he did on 16 on Saturday.
Yeah.
That it was like almost karma there. It's like, I get it. People like that stuff, but it didn't work.
Yeah. No.
It did not work.
So Rory becomes just the 6th golfer of all time to get the career Grand Slam, which I think when you think about that list, there's a lot of really good golfers who are not on that list.
Generational guys.
Yeah, Arnold Palmer's not on that list. Yeah, it's what? Sarazen, Jack, Hogan, Tiger, Rory.
5 guys.
And one more. Who's the one I just missed over there? Now I got to look it up because it's going to bother me.
Who did we forget? Now I'm going to be mad at myself for.
Yeah, this is a trivia question for you.
Jack. We said Jack, right?
Yep.
Gary Player?
Okay, thank you. Yep, Gary Player. Can't forget about Ageless Wonder Gary Player.
89 years young.
Yeah, Sarazen, Hogan, Player, Nicklaus, Woods, and Rory.
And Rory's path, obviously the craziest to get to it after, those other guys took like, was it 1 or 2 attempts to get it? Yeah. Whereas it took him, 14 attempts at the Masters, but since 2014, we've been.
But to get that one, and it's at the Masters too.
Yeah.
After all that, I mean, it's, I think he's only got 5. I shouldn't say only, but 5 majors to his name too, Rory. But that's a very, very, very short list. That is incredibly hard. Obviously, I'm a history guy. Bobby Jones is a little bit different, but he's got, the Bobby Jones Slam because he was still an amateur.
Right. And then the Masters wasn't even, he created the Masters, so that wasn't even, like Sarazen got the Grand Slam, but it wasn't even, they didn't even know what the Grand Slam was at that point.
Exactly. But, I mean, when you think about Rory too, I mean, you go back and Rory's been around for a hot minute. He's been around for a while, and he was supposed to be like the next guy that, taking over, competing with Tiger and such. But, I mean, I don't want to get into a conversation of like greatest of all time and such, but I mean, once you put your name in this list, you move up in that category, don't you?
Yeah. And I think winning 5 majors at this point in this day and age with how many great golfers, not that I hate to diminish what the other guys, and I'm not doing that at all, but the fields now are just nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, Brooks Koepka was 5-time major, 4-time major. I mean, like,
he's got a couple of US Opens right away.
I mean, you forget about guys. I mean, the guys he's been competing with, Dustin Johnson, now Scotty, Spieth, Thomas. You can go down this list of people that have won 1 major or 2 majors. They've all kind of had their light, but it's so hard to be that guy for just Xander Schauffele now, 2 majors. So the thing is, though, I feel like now he's got that weight off his shoulders. I feel like he could go and win a couple more, win another one this year, the way he's been playing. He's at the top of his game. And I think that was the one thing he believed in him. He kept saying, "It's like, I'm playing the best golf I have. Yes, I've made some bad shots, but it's not like he came in there limping in. He was playing some really good golf. And when he was on as well as anybody's ever been at that course. He wins by 4 strokes. We can go say 8 strokes if he doesn't double bogey and just ends up parring those holes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it could have been a rout. Was it? No, but he's there. You gotta also remember the fact that this guy's had the weight of the PGA Tour on his shoulder since the live drama started.
Yep.
This is the guy that they just like threw everything on him. It's like, okay, you're the superstar. You have to carry this tour. And I think maybe luckily for him, like other guys have emerged, but for that first year or 2, it was all on Rory. And on top of him trying to win another major, life events happening. He did it. You could just see it on his face. I don't know if I've ever seen an athlete where you could see more relief and more exhaustion on a face than him walking off the 18th there with that win. So, yeah, I could sit here and talk about this for 2 hours, but what a fun way to kick off the major season. And I hope we get some more drama like this the next 3.
No kidding. So besides Tiger and Phil, the active leaders for the most majors, it's tied between Brooks and Rory at 5.
Right. I mean, people kind of Brooks 3 U.S. Open?
2 U.S. Open, 3 PGAs. For Brooks, yeah.
Okay, that's what.
Which surprised me. I was like, oh crap, he's already got 3 PGAs.
Yeah.
So
well, Brooks had it too. I was like just kind of like a rocket and just kept dominating there.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean he's had Tiger and Phil were still when he first started were still winning majors. Phil a couple years ago won one.
Yep.
Brooks, Dustin Johnson for a while there was the best golfer in the world.
Yep.
Jordan Spieth shoots out there and wins a couple of majors right away. And then you get the guys like Justin Thomas, Xander Schauffele, and Scotty Scheffler. So I mean the competition level is insane.
Do you want to take a guess on who the next highest current active player is?
Is it 2 or 3?
3. You did mention his name. I'm not counting, no offense, but I'm not counting like the VJ Singhs or Padre Harringtons.
It's not Scotty. Oh my gosh, this is gonna bug me. Spieth. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say because he had those 3 right away. So
and is he gonna be the next to be talked about because he needs a PGA to get the career?
I mean, he played better this week. It was nice to see him like Xander and those guys kind of come back to a little back to form, but he's got to avoid that big hole too.
Yeah,
that's what has been his big thing is just finding a way to get a double bogey when he doesn't need it. So I would hope so. I would love to see him. I think the game's better when Jordan Spieth is battling. I think he'll be your sentimental guy now.
Yep.
To get that because he's had such a good career. And again, it's so tough. These guys get all this pressure put on them at such a young age. I mean, Spieth was 21 when he won the Masters.
And he had the label.
Yep.
And then that's a great one.
Yep. And that's what Olberg now is going to have. I think he's now that next guy of, is this the next great one? So, yeah, I mean, it was just fun to see. And then it was like Zach Johnson somehow finishes tied for 8th. That's what I think I love about this place, too, the Masters, is that you always have that muscle memory for those past champions that can come up and maybe catch fire and find a way.
Because I'm looking, besides Phil, because Phil would need to win. Is it the U.S. Open? I think he hasn't won yet.
Yeah.
He's got that left to win a career. Well, Tommy Armour ain't doing it. So I'm just kind of going through who's got all but kind of one right now. And I think, like legit would be Spieth.
I think Xander would have he's got 2, obviously. Got 2.
I feel like Scheffler would possibly get it.
Scheffler's going to be the guy who I could see winning 5 Masters. But I think he wants another one to his name, and he's obviously come close, and he's got the game to do it. I just Scotty, I still enjoy just because you see the fire, but it's such a calm, like even like him sitting there next to Rory, I thought it was almost humorous. I think he's the one he's just kind of like, oh man, this guy's going through a lot right now. And he just like tied for 4th, like had an off weekend. And that tells you how, I think that's why he's like, you got to comparison. The Tiger comparisons are fair because Scotty has an off weekend and still finishes 4th. Like you talked about him, but you didn't talk about him that much. And through the end, he was right there. That's why I just think he can go out there and be in contention almost any tournament that he's ever in.
To kind of wrap it up here before we have to take a break, but last week we were kind of talking about records and such with Ovi breaking Gretzky's and that, and one that I'm guilty of this kind of overlooking, but I think I at this point nobody's touching Jack Nicklaus's major record.
No.
I don't think
there's just too much competition. Rory might be as talented as we're going to see. I just don't know if you can get to a point where you're so talented that you're just that much better. I think we saw last year with Scotty is about as much as we've seen a guy dominate. And even once he got to majors, it's tough.
Yep.
I will say this, I'm not the biggest Bryson fan, but I will say of the guys who went to the Live, to me, he's the guy whose game has actually improved since going over there. Where the rest of the guys, I feel like have almost plateaued.
John Rahm has just kind of fallen off a little bit too.
Patrick Reed, I guess you can say. I mean, he was right there too. So, but I think Bryson, like the improvement that he has made in his game since going there, where a lot of the guys haven't. That's hats off to him.
Do you think too? Because I know Jeff Darlington did a piece on this during the Masters weekend, but I'm one of those, but like. The likability has gotten a little bit better with DeChambeau.
I think it has.
I think it has.
I feel like it's calculated.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I would agree with that.
I think he doesn't.
I'm throwing stuff too. So
he's not a guy who does anything without a plan. Like he's so analytical, but to his credit, it has worked. And he's coming out there. He's won some majors. He's another guy who possibly could go out there and with that length could always have a chance to win a Grand Slam if he keeps it going. So yeah, I think I think the YouTube stuff really helped him. It really did.
Yep.
And it'll be interesting to see the next couple of years when some of these guys' contracts come up. Who stays with Liv and who comes back, and that's a whole other mess. We won't want to. Let's sully up this day
exactly
with the azaleas.
I wish I could plant azaleas. I've killed like 3 of them in my yard now. I can't get it going. So.
I got something for you. So the song Augusta, the one they play, the piano song.
Yep.
There's actually a vocal version of that song.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it on YouTube?
It's out there.
Okay.
It's by Don Cherry, not the Don Cherry from Hockey Night in Canada. Don Cherry and Willie Nelson.
What?
Yeah. And it's out there. I say take a listen to it because it's so funny in a way.
Yeah.
Like, just because you're used to just hearing that piano.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a vocal version where they're talking and they're singing about golf. They're singing about
no kidding. I never heard that before.
Yeah. So
look at that. Justice, that a boy.
Yeah. So if you have time today, search that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna make time.
Search that one out because it's entertaining. I'll say.
That's awesome. All right, let's take a quick break here. We'll get to a couple of texts coming up about golf and Rory and such too. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Your new go-to spot in the Chippewa Valley is the VFW Post 305, located on Star Avenue in Eau Claire. Whether you're looking for somewhere for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or a place to hang out with some great entertainment and events, you can't beat what the VFW Post 305 has to offer. Great food menu, a wide selection of beverages, and bands on the weekends. Plus, with spring here and summer right around the corner, you cannot beat the view of their patio facing the river. So the next time you're thinking about where to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, or just to have a good time, the answer is simple. It's the VFW Post 305 on Star Avenue in Eau Claire. Before we get to a little local sports roundup, you want to play a little crystal ball? action game
Sure.
with me? Got a couple. Got a golf one on here too for you. So, all right, time to get our crystal balls out and make some predictions. Okay.
All right.
How many more majors for Rory McIlroy? He's at 5. Will he hit double digits? Will it just be a couple?
I don't think he'll hit double digits.
Yeah.
35 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Say in the next 5 years, kind of. I think he'll win 2 more.
Get to 7. There's only 3 golfers with double-digit majors.
That's just so tough. Expect him to win and double his number here in the next.
Yeah.
Unless he's, gets right. This really takes some relief off his shoulders. The fields are just too talented. I think 7 would be, to me, the high, the ceiling for him.
That's where I was at. I was at 7. By the way, the 3, everybody knows Jack Tiger. Walter Hagen had 11.
Yes, kind of the guy who always kind of gets left out.
Yep, and he did not play in the Masters, even though him and Bobby Jones had a nice rivalry back in the day. But
he almost won that tournament with Baker Vance, so he had to hit that one off the beach.
Nice pull. How many games for Damian Lillard in the playoffs?
Oh boy, I feel like he doesn't play this first series.
I say 0 in this one. Yeah.
I mean, if they can win this series, maybe he comes back for the next one. But I mean, until this series is over, I feel like he's probably out this series. I mean, they're keeping it so tight to the vest; it's so hard to know.
I know. That's just the blood clot situation. You can't put a timeline. On that. I feel like for this series for sure, it's going to be 0 games.
Yeah. But we got Planet Pat going up for
43
points.
Over under how many minutes does he play in
the playoffs? Like, he probably hadn't had 43 points the second half of the season.
No.
Like, I couldn't believe, I pulled up the box score and I just had to double.
Yeah.
Like, am I looking at this right?
Good for him for just all right, screw it. This is probably my last time.
They're allowing me to start.
Yep.
The final game of the season.
Playing 44 minutes. Let's go, man. So
and it's good for him because it shows that he has that in him still. So if they do need him in a pinch.
Yep.
He really has not been playing much anymore. So
No. Staying with the Bucks. How many wins for the Bucks in this playoff series against the Pacers?
I'm going to be an optimist and say 4.
I think it goes 7.
I think it has this. Here's the thing: if the Bucks can play to that potential that we've seen them the last couple of weeks here, and everybody's out there on the floor.
8 wins in a row right now.
Obviously, you're not going to have everybody because Dame's not going to be there.
Yep.
They've shown that they can score. They've shown they can actually play defense again. So I'm optimistic they can get the win, but I think going 7, that's not a bold prediction at all because just the way these two teams have played each other.
Yep.
Indiana with their miracle 3-pointer. And
so
at least there's a lot of drama and a lot of familiarity going into this series. So 7, seems like that. But I'm hoping the Bucks can pull this one out.
These are the only 2 teams in the top 6 in the East. For the longest time, they had losing records on the road, but now both are 20-20 on the road, but winning records at home. So that just sets up for everybody wins at home.
We go to game 7. Yeah.
So I am in agreement with you. I got 4 for the Bucks in this one. So. But now
is that 4 for the whole playoff?
for this series. For
4
this series.
And then no more.
Yeah. Who does Jair Alexander play for this upcoming season?
That's
is it Green Bay?
Green Bay or the field?
Yeah.
Is that basically the I'm gonna go the field.
Yeah.
I don't see how they repair that relationship.
I don't either.
I don't see how I think he wants out. I think they want him out, and it's just finding a.
Does he get traded before the draft or on the draft day or on draft weekend?
I want to say yes, but it doesn't strike me as something the Packers usually do. When was the last time they traded was Devontae was a draft day?
Draft day trade? Well, Aaron was officially traded.
Oh, that's right.
Before.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of the deadline they wanted to get set so they could, but as a player,
they just don't do that a whole lot.
Was Javon traded? Javon Walker?
Javon Walker, I think he was.
Yeah.
God, that's a long time ago.
But on a draft day trade, I'd have to look that up.
Yeah. So I'm going to say, they're not going to want to just straight up.
They're trying to get something for him. Yeah.
So I think it happens before draft day.
I think it happens before draft day. I am gonna go that he gets traded to. I'm just pulling something out of my hat. It's gonna be somebody from the AFC Chargers.
Not bad. Go the Casey Hayward route.
Yep. All right, that's all I got for crystal ball. So
yeah, I just like it's such a weird situation because I think they were expecting to be able to get a deal for him done maybe at the owners' meetings, and it didn't happen. So,
well, I think what happens too a lot is like, oh, these teams now, like, okay, we know you want to get rid of him, so they play a little hardball.
Right.
We're going to take our chances maybe in free agency to try to get him, or hey, we'll give you a 7th round pick, but Green Bay wants a 5th round pick or something.
I mean, I think he's probably getting a 5th round pick at like that's at most because what the baggage he has.
Yep.
And then
injuries,
and
the contract, yeah.
I think he's worth more than that, but this day and age in the NFL, teams just will not give up.
Nope, I agree with you.
One of those top picks. So yeah, good luck getting a 5th at the most. And at some point, if you can't, you're getting a 6 or 2 6, or you're doubling down on.
Or it's one of those, if you make the playoffs or he plays 75% of the snaps, then you stay Aaron Rodgers. Right?
Yeah, because I think that's the only way you're gonna. Just again with all the baggage that comes with, not that he's been a bad player, not a bad guy, he's just done some stuff that obviously if you're another team, what are you getting here when he comes in?
Or maybe he gets shipped to Carolina and back to his hometown, so then he can do the coin tosses every day at home games for Carolina. I mean, so
if that's who he's holding, who knows? Maybe he's just like, I don't know what his probably doesn't have a right of refusal for trade, but
yeah, no trade clause. I don't think he would have that, but
no, who knows? But I'm sure he would love to go somewhere like that. So,
or Baltimore and play with his good buddy Lamar Jackson.
And he's not a surprise. He wouldn't be a guy that could come back and be a Pro Bowl caliber player.
Oh no, yeah.
That's the problem. Is like you get these guys in their early 20s, and we're all in our early 20s at some point, and then all of a sudden it starts clicking when you get closer, to the 30s. That I'm an adult now. You hope it clicks. And that's what with Jair, I could see it just being like, okay, I kind of regret some of the stuff I was doing back then, but now so I mean, unless you're the Packers and you think he's going to become that, that's the only way you keep him is if you have almost assurances that this is a different player that's done with all the immature stuff that he was doing. I always enjoyed him honestly in the locker room. He's a fun guy to talk to, and he's because he's out there. He's got a personality. He's just different than everybody else, but I think he took that to such an extreme that 2 years ago that it's almost it's baggage right now. It's really baggage for him.
Yeah. All right. That's our crystal ball couple of this is from Doug. I'm so happy for Rory, but it's rare to win a major when shooting over the par on last day. Last time a Masters winner shot over par on the final day was 2008 when Immelman won with the final round score of 3 over. You could feel the energy through the radio from Sir Justice Cleveland. Also note there was only 3 out of the top 20 to shoot over par the last day. Just wish Rory could have hole 13 back and 15 approach was incredible. The courage to take that shot. Agree, he's got the momentum, house money. I bet Rory gets another major this year. So
I could really see it happening. Go over to the Open Championship. I mean, that's always.
Where is the Open this year? Do you know off the top of your head?
I want to say Royal Port Rush, but don't quote me.
I'll look it up.
There we go.
The Open.
What was that last year?
Here we go. It's loading up here right now. So it is. That does not help me. Roy, but you're right. Look at that.
Thank goodness the mind still works at 45.
Look at that. Yeah, the boy.
By the way, yeah, Justin Rose holding it down for mid-40s guys there.
With the name, or I guess Justice and Justin. Close enough. Close enough.
By the way, I when I went out golfing this week, I tried to copy all of Rory's bad shots. And I did a very good job. So
that a boy.
Shanking some wedges. I can do that. That's no problem. Hitting some drivers into the trees. Got that down.
Oh man. Hey, let's do a quick local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center because spring sports is in full bloom. See what I did there? So we've had some baseball. I mean, we've had some scoring going around, it looks like, in a lot of our local baseball games here too. So, I mean, just kind of everything. We're just getting our first games going with spring baseball right now, right? Just kind of getting underway that way.
I feel like those first couple of weeks, it is just trying to get comfortable, and you're also conditions can be crazy to say the least, and blustery and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, baseball's getting going on. I know Memorial, I think, is playing at AmFam Field on one of the days, Wednesday, maybe after the the Brewers. Maybe
yeah, because that is
Wednesday, or maybe it was one of the days this week. I know I was writing it down on my schedule.
Just a quick note too. I'm glad you mentioned that they did change the game time for that game. I believe I'll have to double check it. I did get an email from Greg Matzik about that a little bit earlier. So I think it's let me pull it up here because I don't want to.
He's going.
The email.
He's clicking the mouse.
April 16th game. Yeah. First pitch is at 12:10. So I don't. Well, that's still on the schedule like that. So I don't know. But yeah,
it's one of those. I don't know if it's Wednesday or not, but it's one of those. Maybe it's Thursday because they're off Thursday too. So maybe it's Thursday. But yeah, they're getting to go play at AmFam. I know Altoona is going to play there as well. So I think it's great, those opportunities for those teams to get a chance to go play on that big field. To play on a Major League Baseball field. I just want to go play catch on the Major League for them to get a chance to play. That's awesome.
I agree. Softball, kind of the same boats. For girls softball.
We had a good non-conference matchup over the weekend. Altoona and Fall Creek battling. I believe Altoona got the win in that one. So yeah, softball rounded out and shaping up. Again, this week looks like it's going to be a pretty good week until the end of the week. But most of the teams will be off towards the end of the week anyway because of the holiday.
That's right.
So should be a good week to get out there. You know, I covered some golf last week. Tennis is starting up as well. So yeah, I mean, we're starting to get the spring swing is going on strong, and yeah, it's fun. Track and field, obviously, they enjoy the warmer weather and not the 43-degree and overcast track meets.
Well, did I see too with soccer, Memorial playing on the new field and picking up a win too?
Yep.
So
Memorial and North both opened up their new stadiums with soccer matches there. North ended up with a 0-0 draw in theirs, and then Memorial getting the win. So there's going to be some fun matches to watch. It's going to be a little different watching there instead of the grass field. I mean, for 15 years, that's where I've always shot the games. And now they're going to be a lot of night games too. It was always my afternoon, like, hey, it's 4 o'clock. I can go over, run across the street, shoot some soccer, and then get it done before the 6 o'clock. So I'll miss that aspect of it. But I mean, for them to have that stadium, that for both those schools, what great opportunities. And it's going to change things up where they can play those soccer matches where a lot more parents can get there. 4 o'clock is a quick turnaround. A lot of people aren't even done with work by 4 o'clock. So getting a lot of these evening games is going to definitely make it, to the advantage of the parents and the kids to have their families there.
Exactly. Speaking of softball too, I know for Blue Gold softball, WIAC competition or WIAC conference play began this past weekend, and the Blue Gold splitting against number 25 Stevens Points. Picking up a win in the first game, falling in the second one. Now they got lacrosse coming up here before Whitewater this weekend. So be a tough one. And this is going to be home too this Wednesday for the Blue Golds.
Yes.
Up against lacrosse.
So. Should be their first outdoor game here this season.
It's scheduled for Bollinger. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
So they were supposed to play Superior. I think it was last week, but then the weather kind of changed that all up there. So what is thing though, by the way, having the Sonintag there though, to be able to have indoor softball games. And, I covered a Blue Gold game there, and I also covered Regis played there last week too. So yeah, just already that place is paying advantage, an advantage in the spring here for all these teams.
And I know their lacrosse team is just going to play all indoors, Blue Gold lacrosse for the rest of the season. So they got that already on the schedule.
So you're going to be playing.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's, I think the lacrosse team's been playing very well as well for the Blue Golds there.
Yep. I mean, Blue Gold golf, men's golf. I mean, they're
getting a win.
Yep, top 25 in the country. So Coach Skinner's continues to do a fantastic job with that program.
I saw him because his son was at that Princeton Valley, had a middle border. And he was there, and he's like, "Yeah, my B team came to win." Like, hey, you're doing it's fine. If your B team gets some wins there too, that's great. So.
Exactly right. So I mean, they've got the Bobby Craig Invitational coming up here this weekend. Then they're down in Illinois again, and then it's the WIAC Championships at the beginning of May over at Lake Arrowhead in Nakusa. So I mean, this is a team that could do something.
Oh, I think so. I mean, and just to watch them and just that having Skinner now as a full-time coach, I think definitely helps. And yeah, you can see it paying dividends. The facilities too have helped a lot too. And
And you can see it paying dividends on the women's side too for
yep,
Blue Goals Golf too.
recruiting wise, I think it's helped a
Mhm.
lot too. And yeah, they look like a really tough team that's gonna make some noise this year.
I agree. For Stout too, I got to admit because they had well, they're one of the few teams in the country, but flag football, they had the tournament over this past
Yes.
weekend for Stout too, and I know with in conjunction with the Vikings over there too. But I mean, that's got to be so cool
Yeah.
to see that.
And I hope that continues to grow.
I
I
do
would love
too.
to see it just expand and
Hmm.
get a WIAC
Yep.
conference and just keep it going from there.
It was the UW Stout Jamboree flag football going on this past weekend. So really cool to see that. And you're right. I hope that even like high school, I know there's some teams trying to kind of
Yep.
form in that too. So, but this you mentioned high school golf there too. Are we not quite to conference tournaments yet, right? For high school golf, or are we getting
Conference
close?
meets.
Conference meets.
Yeah, they start up, I think, really more this week. And that
Okay.
was like middle border last week was one, but
Okay.
I think the Big Rivers really starts because
Hmm.
Hudson had their invite. They played Troy Burn like 3 times. So it's like,
Oh man.
but I think they're at Troy Burn this week for the Big Rivers
Okay.
meet as well. So
Do you think like Memorial and North going to be up there and some good talent? I mean,
yeah,
it seems like the last few years we've been talking about a lot of really good local golfers around
yeah,
here.
I mean the run obviously that Memorial had
Mhm.
was insane for
Yep.
5 years, basically going straight.
Yep.
I think there was a big loss of talent with this last senior class that left, but it's
Mhm.
starting to fill back in. And I know Hudson's pretty stacked.
Yeah.
Memorial still got Diller, who was part of that championship. Memorial lost pretty much, that core is now.
Mhm.
But Diller was on that team last, and they are a team that somehow you're like, oh, they've lost all these guys, and then they come back and they're
Yeah.
right there again. So I
Mhm.
think there's a lot of upperclassmen with some of these teams like Chi High that are going to compete. So it's going to be it's more, I think, more wide open
Okay.
than it has been in years past. So it's going to be fun to see how that kind of all plays out with these teams.
Mhm.
A little bit different than what they were the
Mhm.
last 3 or 4 years.
Right. Do want to give a shout out. We did have a no hitter for Regis baseball last week too, right? Brogelman
Yeah,
tossed that no hitter for Regis too. So I know Dr. Crow gave a shout out on Friday, but Regis baseball going to be another team you think too
I
to contend
I
this
think
year?
so. I
Yeah.
think as we go with again, these teams all have talented players.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Clover Belt wise, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
battles
Yeah.
because I don't know if I think everybody's kind of stacked up there very even this year.
Mm-hmm.
So Fall Creek plays well.
Yep.
Bloomer, always tough team,
Mm-hmm.
and Cadott, Warren Bovey at pitching there for Cadott, and yeah, McDonald, obviously, team that makes state runs. So,
Yep.
yeah, so I mean, I don't want to leave any of these teams out, but
Exactly.
I
Yep.
think it's just that it's going to be a lot of these teams are just going to be. It's going to be fun to see how the conference races go because I think these teams are evenly matched this year.
Yep. Well said.
I know it feels like a cop out when I say that, but I feel
No,
like right now there's not one that's
really sorry. It's still early.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
so early.
Yep.
Like even softball wise, I don't know if there's any teams right now that are completely above
Mm-hmm.
anybody else this year.
Yep. All right, let's take a quick break. And before we let Justice go, do want to talk a little Brewers with JC after this past weekend from the Brewers, where they had chances to win this series, but collapsing late, and now they've got Tariq Skubal and Jack Flaherty waiting for them with the Tigers coming to town. So we'll be back to finish up the second hour in just a couple minutes. When it comes to one-stop shopping, there's truly one store in the Chippewa Valley that can carry that title, and that's Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. From grocery shopping and picking up some new team apparel in their sports shop to grabbing a beverage at the bar or picking up something from their massive wine and spirits department, Hy-Vee has something for everyone. And if you want someone else to cook for the night, they got you covered with many different options from their food court. So when you head out, don't forget to fill up, and also when you head out, don't forget to fill up your gas tank with the fuel savers you earned by shopping at Hy-Vee. Shop smart, shop Hy-Vee. We only got about 8 minutes to the top left with JC. So I did have a request over the weekend. We were doing some little league practice, and one of my friends over there said, "I have a request on Monday morning. Can you tell the Brewers that a game lasts 9 innings?" And this was during, after Saturday night's collapse and such, but 4-0 heading into ninth, looking like you got to win against Corbin Burns, and and then yesterday you have a 2-0 heading into the fifth and lose 5-2. So
the good thing is your starting pitching continues to look pretty good.
Yep, and you're getting healthier.
Yeah, so that, I mean, the fact that you have guys like Alexander step in there and basically coming out of nowhere and have been able to get the job done, that bodes well. Because, I mean, we talked about it ad nauseum about how that pitching was going to be the big thing.
Quintana was amazing in his debut Friday nights. As Pat Murphy said, it's good to be on the other side of that because we've seen it how many times going up against the Brewers.
Right. So. Yeah. So I think they're 8-8. It's so early in the season. I mean, obviously you got some tough pitching matchups for them coming up here with the Tigers. I think it's a fun little series with the Tigers here. Kind of two teams that maybe on similar paths. Tigers are trying to get back to that level, and two teams that were, I still think of the Tigers as almost a rival just because of, going way back in the AL days, but just that proximity there. So it always makes for kind of an interesting series. And I did go to a couple of Tiger Brewer games back in the day when they were in the AL. So I think that always sticks in my head.
So I was talking about this in the first hour. I mean, Jackson Churio, what he's been doing ever since post opening day, but especially during this stretch. Now he's got 5 home runs, and you're throwing out numbers. I know they did a couple days ago. It's like, well, this stretch of games only Shohei, Lou Gehrig, and Babe Ruth have done that, but I feel like, I'm not saying he's going to be these guys, but I feel like it's trending in this direction of like Giannis, or even when Aaron Rodgers was here, where it's like, what else can we say about this guy? And he's only 21, just turned 21. And it's like, I feel like that's the direction we're trending with Jackson Churio.
You just cross your fingers that he can stay healthy and, everything stays the way it is. Because if it is, it's one of the greatest deals, maybe steals in baseball history if he can keep playing at this level. He just does not look like a 21-year-old out there playing. He plays so much more mature than that.
He looks a lot more comfortable in the outfield now too, defensively. I mean, it's the extra, the home runs, but it's the extra base hits that he's putting out there too, and the doubles. It's just
that game where he had the double and then the bomb of that home run where he just crushed it 410 feet against Colorado. Like, didn't even look like it went more than 20 feet above the ground. Just hit it so hard.
Then the monster he had off Corbin Burns too.
To me, it's just we're seeing it in play out what the Brewers planned on when they signed him to that contract. And it's been fun. And obviously on the flip side of that, Christian Yelich still hasn't, he's every here and there, he's getting a couple bombs, but he does not look comfortable running right now. You can just tell he looks like a guy that had back surgery because it's a little ginger when he's running out there right now. So I hope that, maybe as he gets a little more and more confidence as the season keeps going on, but obviously you want to see him turn back into what he was doing last year before the surgery.
Exactly. Contreras had a good road trip. It may be he kind of is like, all right, getting back to what we kind of expect after a slow start. Bryce Terang's been awesome, and especially considering going up against a ton of left-handed pitching too. And that was his downfall his rookie year, so much so he got sent back down, to try to figure out. But now he's been off to a really good start overall too. But you're right. I mean, when you factor in all the injuries to pitchers, starting pitchers, they've kind of held their own. For those guys stepping into that spot.
It's just almost surprising because that relief corps doesn't usually do that.
Right.
Like blow up leads like that. So it was kind of surprising to see that happen. I think yesterday's game, I think the game before, more going into a 4-0 lead is the one that just like, this just doesn't happen with Brewers team usually. So maybe the playoffs.
I was just gonna say playoffs.
We don't talk about that, but yeah, I think they're fine going into this. You know, it's the first month of the season. If you can stay around 500, you obviously can lose. Your season can be lost in the first month,
right?
But you're not winning anything in the first month if you don't. You know, if they can find more consistency, like you said, they're getting healthy. I think that they're after the 0-4 start. To go 8-4 in your next 12 is that's good. That's good.
I agree. And then good news over the weekend too. Tobias Myers made his second rehab starts. Possibly, maybe we'll see him in that athletic series this weekend at home. But the big one too is Brandon Woodruff made his first AAA rehab start on Saturday and threw 66 pitches.
See, that's huge. And that depth is only going to get better on that pitching staff. And, you know, some of those guys getting bumped to the bullpen, but you'll have guys that can be those spot starters. It's, if this just keeps playing out that way, it's very good news for the Brewers.
I mean, that's fantastic to hit that. I mean, if all said and done, then you're potentially looking at a guy like Chad Patrick who has pitched really well. Kind of maybe giving you Tobias Myers vibes from last year a little bit, but he may be that guy that you move to a bullpen and long relief type of roles. Who knows?
And I don't want to, think too far into the crystal ball, but it gives you pieces for potential deals later down the road if you have some of these guys that can start and can be moved. So that I think right now. Good. It's trending nicely for the Brewers.
Or maybe allows you to trade a guy like a Nestor Cortez who's entering his final year to a contender where you keep a guy like a Chad Patrick and give him a shot.
If you're a GM, this is what you like to see is that, team, obviously we're real early in the season, but it's now those potential moves could be there if you need to shore something up.
Exactly. So, all right. I only got 30 seconds left with you, JC. So any final thoughts on the Masters?
Just injected in my veins. That was just really, I mean,
do you want to go on the course after that?
That I told my wife, it's like, I want to be there next year. It's not going to happen, but that is, I think, the number one bucket list there. I think St. Andrews is always right there. But
those are my top two.
I would love to and they got cheap snacks.
They do.
And for me, that is also something. But I think this was an all-timer, and I think it'll be one we'll be talking about years down the road for sure.
I agree. All right, thanks, buddy. We got one more hour to go. Stick around. We'll be back after these news updates. Final hour kicking off on this Monday morning. A big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you're tuning in from, whether it's on the radio dials at 105.1 FM, 790 AM, or maybe checking us out online at sportstalk1051.com. The video streams are also up and rolling. Want to give a shout out to, because next week we'll be in Green Bay for Thursday and Friday doing our shows over there. So I want to give a shout out to our draft partners that are helping us helping send us over to Green Bay. Home Oasis in Chippewa Falls, AJM Automotive Services, and SC Swiderski. So a big thanks again to Home Oasis, AJM Automotive Services, and SC Swiderski for helping us get over to Green Bay next week to do our shows on Thursday and Friday over there. Should be a lot of fun. Countdown is officially on now that we are less than 2 weeks away. Speaking of the draft coming up in a little bit, we'll continue our Packer potential prospect series. We're going to take a look at 3 players here momentarily. So we'll wrap up that series this week before we get into full-on draft mode for next week. So let's do a little I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. So my I'm not saying, but I'm just saying for this week is I'm not saying that Jack Nicklaus's major record is the most insurmountable or best record of all time in all of sports. But I'm just saying no one's going to touch it. No one's going to touch that record. 18 major championships. And you look at the current state of golf and you look at Tiger's at 5th. Tiger ain't going to catch anymore. Tiger's done. Then you got Walter Hagen at 11. Okay. Those are the only 3 golfers in history with double-digit majors. Rory just won the Masters yesterday for his 5th. Phil Mickelson's got 6. Rory and Brooks have 5 apiece. Those are your, like, if we still count Tiger, he's still active in there too. But we take away Tiger, we take away Phil. You got Rory and Brooks as the next highest ones with 5. There is nobody in my lifetime that will catch Jack Nicklaus's 18 major championships. I just, when you put it, and just if you follow golf and you watch these major championships, yes, I feel like the talent pool is there. It's a little bit deeper. It's a little bit more competitive. No offense to Jack and the guys he's gone up against, because he went up against some really, really great golfers too. Tom Watson, Arnold Palmer at the beginning and that. So that's not a knock on those guys. It's just, I feel like that record of 18 major championships in my lifetime will never be touched. I don't want to say never, ever, ever, because I feel like nothing is never, ever, ever. But I feel like in my lifetime, and hopefully it's for a very, 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 very long time, I won't see anybody break Jack's record. I don't even think I'll see anybody pass Tiger if Tiger finishes at 15, which I think it's going to. In fact, I don't even know if I'll see anybody that gets double digits. I feel like the guy that maybe has the best shot to do it for double digits is maybe and he's only got 2 right now, which kind of surprises me that he only has 2, but maybe Scheffler, because he's only 28 years old. He'll be 29 in June, but still fairly young. So maybe Scheffler can go on a little bit of a run here and get to double digits. But yeah, I think when you just kind of look at it and see just how incredibly difficult it is in the world of golf right now, and all these different players and all these different skill levels and talent and such, I'm never going to see Jack's major championship record broken. And I'm okay with that. So again, I'm not saying that Nicklaus's record is the best or maybe the most insurmountable record of all time, but I'm just saying no one is going to touch that record, in my opinion. All right. What else do we got here? Let's catch up on a couple of messages before we get to our potential prospect series here for the green and gold. We got Tim saying it was awesome to see Quintana pitch like that on Friday night, considering he's done that against us so many times over the years. Hopefully, and then hopefully with the good news with Tobias and Brandon Woodruff, the starting rotation will start to fall in a little bit more consistency. We've got Matt with a quick text as well. I believe that the Bucks will win this playoff series against the Pacers, but fall in the second round. Another texter says, "Don't have a name, can't give you any credit." But another texter says that they think the Bucks will lose in 7 to the Pacers. Home team wins every game in this series. Another texter says Bucks in 6. That's from Travis on our texting line. A couple more Brewer text here. This one is from Gregory. Greg says, with the Brewers, it was incredibly disappointing to see how the Brewers closed out that game on Saturday. A prime opportunity to pick up a series win against a really good pitcher in Corbin Burns, and the bullpen blew it. I was a little surprised that the Brewers did come out early in Game 3 to take that lead. I thought they'd be a little demoralized or hungover from the game prior, but they couldn't close it out again. Hopefully, they can use that as motivation for this series against the Tigers against a couple of really good pitchers again. Another texter here says about the Brewers. What else can we say about Jackson Churio? This kid is so amazing. He is setting the bar so high that I hope that a lot of us Brewers fans um, appreciate what we are witnessing right now, and we'll continue to appreciate it for hopefully years to come. Another texter says about Jackson Churio. Jackson Churio is a STUD stud. What a fantastic move by the Brewers last year to sign him to that long-term deal. He is already outperforming his contract. That's from Mike on our texting line. So, Brewers tonight going up against the Tigers and Tariq Skubal. You got Tyler Alexander on the mound for the Brewers. First pitch is going to be at 6:40 for the Brew Crew. Coverage will begin at about 6:05 if you want to check out the pregame coverage. So, but 6:40 first pitch. You can check it out on the radio dials at 105.1 FM and 790 AM. All right. Let's take a really quick break, and then we're going to jump into. I don't want to start our Packer potential prospect series before taking a break because we're going to hit up 3 players. We're going to hit up 3 players. One is an offensive lineman who has taken a top 30 visit to the Packers, Josh Simmons from Ohio State. We're going to take a look at edge rusher James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee. And then we're going to take a look at maybe a little bit of a wild card pick here, because haven't really talked about this as a position of need, at least early for the Packers, but maybe as could be kind of, I mean, he would be definitely a big boost for this team this year, but maybe a little bit for the future. But we're going to look at linebacker Carson Schwessinger. Spit it out, Dan. Carson Schlesinger from UCLA. So kind of all over the board for our next 3 for our potential prospect series for the Pack. So let's take that quick break, and then we'll jump right into it, continuing our potential prospect series after these quick words. Have you started your spring cleaning yet? Hey, don't worry if you haven't. I haven't done so either, but spring cleaning doesn't just have to be dusting the shelves or cleaning the windows. It should also be for doing some updating and remodeling in your home. And now that maybe you have some extra money from your tax return, don't you want to invest it into something that will last? But dude, what do I invest in? New floors, of course, whether it's for your home or workspace. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire is your flooring headquarters. If it's carpet, luxury vinyl planks, or tile you seek, they've got the best options at the best prices in the area. Our family has used Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire so many times over the years, and we have been so impressed with each project, from carpeting the stairs and bedrooms to tiling the man cave and vinyl floors for the laundry room. Carpet City Flooring Center has helped us select the best floor for each project that fit our budget, and they will do the same for you. So give them a visit and let the team at Carpet City Flooring Center help you totally transform your space with some brand new, awesome looking floors. Carpet City Flooring Center, also a partner of ours of the Mobile Man Cave that we will be taking over to Green Bay, another partner of ours for the Mobile Man Cave. Toyson Ford, from the moment you visit Toyson Ford in Chippewa Falls, you're more than just a customer. You are an honored guest. Purchasing a vehicle can be a nervous undertaking, but with Toyson Ford's pressure-free environment, drivers in the Chippewa Valley can take comfort in knowing that they are in the best hands, because the awesome team at Toyson Ford will work with you to help you find that vehicle that fits your needs and your budget. So give them a visit today at 1000 Chippewa Crossing Boulevard in Chippewa Falls, or check them out online at toysonford.net. All right. Let's continue our Packer potential prospect series as we get set for the draft coming up next week. We're going to wrap up this series coming up this at the end of this week. Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up this week as we close out this week and get ready for the draft next week and such. So I want to take a look at 3 different positions for our latest one. We're going to look at a linebacker. We haven't talked about linebacker, and usually when you talk about linebacker, or usually when we talk about the Packers and some priorities and some needs, you haven't heard linebacker. But I'm going to kind of make a case. I'm going to try to play both sides of this, and then you decide. But we're going to talk a little bit about perhaps the top inside linebacker in this draft, and that's Carson Schlesinger from UCLA. So we're going to throw his name in there. I'm going to throw in James Pierce Jr., edge rusher from Tennessee, and Josh Simmons. Let's start with Josh Simmons, since he recently took a top 30 visit to Green Bay. Ohio State first started off at San Diego State, but wrapped up his collegiate career with Ohio State. And he's got experience playing right tackle and left tackle. But a lot of draft peeps out there feel like he is a true, legit, just natural left tackle. But he's coming off of a knee injury. So last year he started the first 6 games for Ohio State, missed the final 10 because of a torn patellar tendon in his left knee. Daniel Jeremiah, NFL.com's Daniel Jeremiah, has this to say about Josh Simmons. Simmons is a gifted left tackle prospect. He was having an outstanding 2024 campaign before suffering a season-ending knee injury in October. Excellent size, movement, skills, and balance. In the passing game, he has a smooth, fluid set. He can easily redirect and plays with a wide, firm base. He uses a sharp punch before steering and controlling defenders. He will overset on occasion, but he's nimble enough to redirect and recover. In the run game, he plays under control, stays on his feet, and maintains leverage and position. He can adjust in space on combos. The main question is his health. What he put on tape this fall should generate plenty of optimism about his chances of becoming a quality starting left tackle in the NFL. So, again, when we talk about these offensive linemen when it comes to Green Bay, now Simmons is a tackle. He doesn't have the experience playing inside and such. He started San Diego. He was at right tackle. San Diego State was over at right tackle, but then flourished as a left tackle for the Buckeyes. So the thing when we talk about offensive line, if it is, I think the main question when it comes to this for Green Bay, it boils down to their left tackle, I think, quite a bit, because you hear Matt LaFleur and you hear Goody this offseason say Walker and Morgan are essentially going to battle for the left tackle position. Now, last year, there were some questions about Jordan Morgan through the draft process, even though he played left tackle, but is he better suited to play interior offensive line at the NFL? And for the most part, during his practice with Green Bay and OTAs last year in preseason, he was getting reps at right guard. He was playing in the interior. So if that's still the case, where they view him as a better option for guard, then do they look at the draft for maybe getting their starting left tackle of the future, or bringing in another left tackle to compete with Rasheed Walker, because Rasheed Walker is entering his final year of his contract. And you look at this offensive line, and this is why I think a lot of people too, draft people or anybody else out there, are mentioning offensive line quite a bit for Green Bay, either for a day 1 or a day 2 pick, is because the uncertainty after this season. Now, I feel like Green Bay is going to lock up Zach Tom. I feel like that's going to be the case, but Zach Tom's going to also cost a pretty penny. They spent a lot on Aaron Banks this offseason. They've got Elton Jenkins making a boatload of cash. So if they lock up Zach Tom, I don't think they lock up Rasheed Walker. I think they let him go. Then you're going to have to fill that void. So are they going to be comfortable with Jordan Morgan playing that left tackle? Or do they view him as a better interior because Sean Ryan's also going to be a free agent? So is he the replacement for Sean Ryan? And then you're left with, who's our left tackle? Maybe it's coming in this draft. Maybe it's a guy like Josh Simmons or any of the other tackles that we have mentioned already in our potential prospect series. That, to me, is going to be an interesting thing to follow in this draft, is how early does Green Bay look at offensive linemen, because I feel like then that they're preparing a little bit more for next year. Not to say that they won't play this year, because obviously we saw what depth could do and how it affects Green Bay and such. But that, to me, is like the biggest question, is the uncertainty surrounding this offensive line for the future. Again, I feel like Zach Tom's they're going to lock him up, but he's going to cost a lot. Aaron Banks' contract's structured in a way where they could kind of get out of it a little bit earlier. Elton Jenkins is still there, but eventually they're probably going to have 3 offensive linemen that are making quite a bit. And one of those spots is not your left tackle. And usually left tackle is the guy that gets you the most money. So could they invest a first-round pick in a guy that they view is going to be maybe their long-term left tackle, but they're going to try to get by cheaper with that dude? I could see that as a possibility. 100%. And that could be a guy like Josh Simmons. The biggest question is going to be, does he pass the medicals? And I do think it's of note that Green Bay did bring him in for a top 30 visit. They haven't brought in a ton of offensive linemen for a top 30 visit, but he was one of them. And a lot of it's probably going to see, all right, check in on the knee. How is the knee looking? I wouldn't be surprised at all if Josh Simmons is Green Bay's pick to get that fixture at left tackle for the foreseeable future for the next few years. And if they do have a little concern on the knee, or maybe they just kind of want to ease him on in, well, they're covered with Walker for this year. And then Simmons comes in as maybe a swing tackle for his rookie year. Green Bay's done that before, where they've drafted an offensive lineman in the first round. Morgan maybe was going to be that guy this year until he got hurt. Brian Balaga was that guy until Tauscher got hurt. Then they inserted the rookie, and then they won a Super Bowl. Derek Sherrod was kind of the same thing before he suffered a gruesome, essentially a career-ending injury. But when they drafted him, he was going to be the replacement for Chad Clifton. So, I mean, this would fit something that Green Bay has done over the years. Drafting an offensive lineman, kind of being a swing tackle or a backup until the next year, and they're going to be the next starter. Staying in the trenches, but moving to the other side, because obviously we have talked a lot about edge rushers and defensive linemen and such. And the next one that I want to talk about is James Pierce from Tennessee. Now, this one to me, I don't know. I'll just say it right off the bat. I don't know if this is a great fit for Green Bay. And a lot of it boils down to, is he big enough to play in this defense? He's 6'5", 245. He's got the height, but does he have the weight to play a defensive end in a 4-3 defense at the NFL level? Here's what Daniel Jeremiah had to say. Pierce is a long, lean edge rusher. Volunteers moved him around in their scheme, and he created havoc from a variety of entry points. His first 3 steps are very explosive when he's rushing off the edge. For such a lean-framed player, he can generate a lot of pocket push with his bull rush. When he's used as a walk-around blitzer, he exposes the lack of athleticism along the interior of the offensive line. They clear the runway for him, and he goes to work. His pressure rate stands out among his peers in his class. Against the run, he plays bigger than his weight would suggest. He sets the firm edge, especially against tight ends. Overall, Pierce has double-digit sack potential and should make an immediate impact in the league. All sounds great, right? All sounds great. But is he suited as a 4-3 defensive end, or is he suited better for a 3-4 outside linebacker edge rusher? That to me is the biggest question here. Got the numbers. Last year, all SEC first team, 13 tackles for losses, 7.5 sacks. 2023 was a first team all SEC, 14.5 tackles for loss. Tackles for loss, 10 sacks. Now, in 2023, he was arrested in December for disobeying orders from police after being stopped for speeding and driving on a suspended license. Charges were eventually dropped after he showed proof he successfully obtained a driver's license and did pay court costs for the speeding ticket. Numbers are there. Production is there. But the numbers that worry me a little bit is, again, the weight. He's got the height, but maybe he can add the weight, but is it going to happen this year? Probably not. But that's my concern with James Pierce Jr. is he big enough to play that 4-3 defensive end for Green Bay? I mean, speed's there, 4.47. He production score at the combine for defensive ends and edge ranks was 4th. Total score was 4th. I mean, so he's got some good numbers in that, but I get a little worried about the size. And you kind of wonder, is he going to be, at least in the early parts of his career, is he going to be just a situational pass rusher? Is he just going to be that guy you throw out there on obvious passing downs? And you just say, tee off, go get the quarterback. Third downs or again, those obvious passing situations. Because he is a little bit leaner. That to me is going to be kind of the thing to follow. And honestly, I was trying to think of a comp, and maybe this might be the comp. And it's not a, when you look at his production, I mean, he was pretty good. And he was a 4-3 for the most part of his career. KBG or KGB. Kabir Baja Biamila. Because I was looking it up earlier. I'm like, okay. Just random. That was like one of the names that popped in my head. Kabir was 6'4", about 240, between 245, 250. Dude racked up some sacks too. He was an obvious, situational pass rusher, but he was racking up sacks for Green Bay, right? So now you got a guy who's an inch taller and about the same weight. So maybe there's that role. But again, it's going to be, are you okay with investing a first-round pick for a guy who maybe isn't initially going to play every down, all 3 downs? Because there is still other scouts out there, other draft reports out there do question a little bit about his run defense. Okay, he could go up against the tight ends, but what about those massive left tackles and right tackles? So that one's going to be interesting to me. Like if Green Bay does draft him, is he initially just going to be that specialist until they can kind of get him in the weight room and mold him maybe a little bit more? And then kind of the wild card pick here is a linebacker, straight up linebacker, middle linebacker from UCLA, Carson Schlesinger. You look at his physical traits, about 6'2", 245 pounds. I mean, you watch some of his film. I was watching some of it last night. Playing in that inside linebacker role, blitzing up the middle and such, or getting those tackles at the line of scrimmage. And it's like, okay, you're not hearing. Now, if you're playing around with like mock draft simulators, a lot of them will give you team needs to try to help you draft what to get. And if you pay attention to those, a lot of them will say linebacker is a need for Green Bay. Okay. Now, is it a need for an early pick? Well, first off, let's look at some of the other stuff for Carson. Last year, first team AP All-American, first team All-Big Ten, finalist for the Butkus Award, nation's top linebacker, led FBS with 90 solo tackles, ranked third with 136, was a team captain, 8.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, 3 pass breakups. Daniel Jeremiah has this to say about Carson here, and perhaps maybe the first or one of the first linebackers, middle linebackers, inside linebackers taken in this draft. Carson is an ultra instinctive linebacker with range and coverability. Against the run, he is quick to key, diagnose. He is adept at beating blockers to spots, dipping underneath, and avoiding them with quickness. He struggles to free himself when he's forced to engage blocks. He has outstanding lateral range. And while he lacks thump, he's a reliable tackler. He is smooth and fluid in coverage and has the agility to mirror match tight ends and running backs. I love his play speed and energy. He chases plays all over the field. Overall, Carson isn't the most imposing figure, but he's going to rack up production because of his blend of speed and instincts. So, okay. Edgerrin Cooper, we know him. Okay. We're good there. There's still some questions about Quay Walker, and we know Goody said that they want to lock up Quay Walker. And I understand that from the perspective of, like, instead of giving him a 5th-year option, we'd like to maybe work out a deal with him. I don't know how long. Can they get away with a couple years? Will it be a long-term deal? I don't know. But we haven't really heard any movement from that other than shortly after the season ended. But as of right now, Quay Walker, they got to decide about a 5th-year option or try to figure out a deal for him. But there's still maybe some question marks. More so if you ask fans, because sure seems like the Packers and his teammates are incredibly high on him. I mean, Xavier McKinney has multiple times said that Quay Walker can be the best linebacker in football. So, okay, Quay and Cooper are there. They re-signed Isaiah McDuffie for a couple years. So on the face of it, it seems like they don't have a need for linebacker. On the other hand, you bring in Carson, then maybe you have your true middle linebacker, your true inside linebacker that allows you to put Quay, weak side, strong side, Cooper, weak side, strong side. You let those 2 athletic guys get out in space, get after the quarterback, and then you kind of have your more of a true middle linebacker. Then possibly you have the makings of a 4-3 defense with 3 really good linebackers. Now, the other part in this thing is, remember, a lot of defenses now, nickel, so you're taking away a linebacker. Well, who's that linebacker going to be? Is it going to be Carson? Is it going to be Edgerrin Cooper? Is it going to be, Quay Walker and that? But I still feel like Quay Walker should not be playing middle linebacker. I feel like he is better suited maybe for weak side. I don't know if Green Bay is eventually going to move him there. And, with McDuffie coming aboard, there's still some questions up there. But if they were, I'm going to try to make a case here for Carson. If they draft a guy like Carson, I understand it wouldn't be the biggest need right away. And that's where it's going to upset a lot of fans. But then I'm starting to think, I'm like, okay, now you've got 3 speedy linebackers, 3 athletic linebackers here that could cover a lot. We know Quay's got speed. Cooper's got speed. Carson's got the ability to match up against tight ends and running backs coming out of the backfield. You put him in that middle, and if you watch some of his film where he's blitzing up the middle and having success with that, it's hard not to get excited about the potential of those 3 manning that linebacker spot for the next few years. It's really hard not to. Just going to say that. And I think when you look at the depth right now at linebacker for Green Bay, it's a little thin, and that's why if you look at the draft needs for Green Bay, you're going to see a lot of people say they need linebacker because the depth isn't quite there. Now, on the other hand, is it the biggest need? Probably not, because you're hoping that Edgerrin Cooper, after a very successful rookie season, takes up another step. You're hoping that Quay Walker continues to ascend. The biggest thing with him, though, has been inconsistency. You did re-sign Isaiah McDuffie. You drafted Hopper last year in the 3rd round. I mean, that's a fairly high pick that maybe you want to get a little bit more production out of for this year. So is it the biggest need early on in the draft? Probably not. And that would be the case maybe to not draft Carson day 1, early day 2, because is it the biggest one? No. But it's fun to think about the potential of him and Cooper and Walker out there, and kind of gives you flashbacks of some of those great 4-3 linebacking groups of the day. That's what you ultimately hope for, but that's also asking a lot. So essentially, would it surprise me if Green Bay drafted Carr? It wouldn't surprise me. I think it would surprise a lot of Packers fans that maybe don't know a lot about him, or maybe really haven't thought of like, okay, let's try to take a step back and think, why did they do this? Okay, typical middle linebacker, depth-wise, kind of just covering bases in case it doesn't work out with Quay and or this, that, the other thing too. So it wouldn't surprise me if they do it. The only thing that would surprise me is if they actually do it, if that makes sense. But I do think it would get met with maybe some anger, maybe some disappointments, or some frustration from some Packers fans out there. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll do some picks coming up here. We got some baseball picks to hit up as we wrap up the program. So, final break, and we'll be back here in just a couple minutes. You know what season it is? It's pothole season, and potholes mean loose debris on the road that kicks up and hits your windshield, leaving a lovely crack in that windshield. So now what? It's simple. Give a call to the experts at Post Glass and Mirror, where their specialists will quickly repair chips and cracks to your windshield. You can trust the fine folks at Post Glass and Mirror in Chippewa Falls to get you back to safe driving by repairing that windshield. Give them a call today at 715 229 3754, or you can visit them online at postglassandmirror.com. Also, with the spring sports season here, and whether you are a high school or college athlete or just a weekend warrior getting ready for some summer tournaments or maybe even your golf league, you shouldn't let pain hold you back from enjoying your favorite activities this season. That's why you should make your appointment today with Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Their team will help you get back on the field of play so that you can enjoy your favorite activities pain-free. So set up your appointment by visiting cvosm.com. All right, let's do some picks, and then I'm going to try starting a new daily segment at the end called Walk Off, but we'll get to that after we do some picks that are brought to you by our good friends at the Elbow Room in Eau Claire, located right next to the Banbury Place in Eau Claire. We've got some baseball games. Let's jump right into it. We got Washington at Pittsburgh. Paul Skeens is on the mound. I think he bounces back and gets the win, or Pittsburgh gets the win with Paul Skeens on the mound. So, Giants at Philly. That should be a good one. I'm going to ride with the Phillies. Boston at Tampa Bay. Give me the Red Sox. We've got the Royals visiting the Yankees. I'll go Yankees. Braves taking on the Blue Jays. We've got Grant Holmes and Lucas on the mound. I'm going to go Braves. We've got the Mets taking on the Twinnies of Minnesota. I'm going to go Mets. Sorry, Twins fans. Astros taking on the Cardinals. Astros taking on the Cardinals. I'm going to go Astros with this one. Even though Sonny Gray's on the mound. No, I'm going to go at it. I'll stay with it. Cubs at the Padres. We need the Padres to help us out. I'll go Padres. Rockies at the Dodgers. I'm going to go Dodgers for this one. And then we've got Skubal on the mound going up against the Brewers and Tyler Alexander. Yeah. I wish I'm going to go with the Tigers to pick up the win tonight. Hopefully I'm wrong. But I'm going to go with the Tigers. So those are your picks for this morning. Again, brought to you by our good friends from the Elbow Room. And we've got some play-in games for the NBA postseason that start tomorrow. All right, I want to wrap things up here with a little walk-off, it's a segment that we're going to try to start every day as we wrap up the program. And that just a quick little sports commentary and such, walk-off. Like walk-off home run, walk-off shot, or anything like that. But I want to go back to the Masters, and I want to go back to Rory here. And the thing that stands out to me when I look back at Rory winning his first green jacket and completing the career Grand Slam, Rory's reaction, first of all, fantastic by CBS Sports. Fantastic by CBS for the camera. And Jim Nantz is the GOAT. I mean, how he was poetically describing the moment, even on 18 before the playoff, and Rory was lining it up for a putt, and then coming up with some new stuff in the playoff hole in that. I mean, it was just fantastic. But credit to CBS too, when Rory was walking off, the camera angle and everything, and just no talking, just letting the moment happen. It was fantastic. But Rory's reaction is why we love sports. Is why we love playing sports, is why we love enjoying or watching sports. It's why we love being fans of sports. You don't have to be a golf fan. You don't have to be a golfer to appreciate what we witnessed in terms of just a fantastic final round full of drama, full of ups and downs, but also to appreciate the reaction from Rory. You don't have to be like a diehard golf fan to know, like, okay, that was a pretty cool moment. That was pretty powerful to see the reaction from him. how much it meant, the amount of work that goes into it just to be a pro athlete and such. But those are the moments like that is why we love sports, is why we are fans of the game, why we enjoy playing. It's for moments like that, even if we can't experience them ourselves, but to kind of witness that and to kind of witness those moments, it's pretty cool. It's pretty darn cool. And those are the moments that we should be kind of highlighting more when it comes to sports, not the negative stuff, not the stupid drama, or this guy's requesting a trade, or this guy's arguing with this, or causing disrupt. It's the moments like that that moment of victory. It's kind of like the Lombardi quote, right? Lying exhausted on the field of battle, victorious. And that's honestly when I watched that yesterday with McElroy walking off, all the emotions flooding through it was kind of that Lombardi quote. Lying exhausted on the field of battle, victorious. Right there, that moment, just to be able to experience that moment. Like, I'll never probably ever experience a moment like that, and I think it's probably gotta be one of the greatest feelings that you could ever have as an athlete. But also, I think how Rory's final round kinda transpired, to me, it just proves, and I know I might be a little biased because I am a golfer, but it just proves again how incredibly mental tough that you need to be to play that sport. Because I feel like a lot of casual people who don't golf on that, they ridicule it because all it is that you hit a ball off a tee or all you do is hit a ball off the ground. How hard is that? They'll go up there and they'll just like rear it back and let the big dog eat and just hit it as hard as you possibly can. They don't factor in it's an incredibly hard game and it's an incredibly um mentally draining game. And for somebody like of that to go down 18 with all of those people, all those fans lining up. First of all, put myself or a lot of you listening right now with all those people there, you're probably shanking it and hitting somebody in the face with the ball. I probably would. I'd probably do it 6 times out of 10, okay? And the other couple times, I might just use a wedge to try to keep it down the middle so I wouldn't avoid or wouldn't hit somebody or something like that. But to tune that out, to hear these galleries chanting your name, and then your approach shot goes in the bunker, and then you're like, "Oh, crap." And then you miss the putt. First of all, standing over that putt, the nerves of everybody watching, everybody in the world watching on TV, not just in person, and then you miss it, and then you gotta go to the playoff. You gotta try to forget what just happened. You gotta try to remain focused, and then you hit an amazing shot in your approach shot, and then you gotta hit this putt to win it. Just the mental makeup of all athletes is incredible, but the mental makeup for a pro golfer to try to forget that last shot or to try to forget a bad shot is, to me, remarkable. I can't do it. I can't do it. I hit one bad shot, I'm stuck in my head. But for a lot of these guys to be able to do that and to rebound like that is remarkable. And I think that gets lost on so many people who have never played it in a tournament setting or have just played it in general. Because for the longest time, I remember growing up as a kid, it was like viewed as a gentleman's game or it's a way to relax for people going out to golf is to relax in that. And for the longest time for me, it was incredibly stressful. And I've gotten better at it over the years. Now I do it for fun, mostly in that. But I still have that competitive edge. I still want to go out there and play well. If I'm shanking or duffing or lipping out putts or not even coming close, yeah, I'm going to get mad or upset with myself. But I think it also just kind of proved just the mentality that these athletes, that these golfers have is pretty remarkable. Because it is such a grueling sport. All right, coming up tomorrow, it is a Grind My Gears Tuesday. So think about what's grinding your gears, and you can text those on over to us at on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. So we'll get to that. Hopefully, maybe we're talking about a Brewers win tomorrow against Tariq Skubal. But regardless, we'll talk some more Brewers tomorrow. We're going to talk some Badgers with RJ Cardinal. We got a 4-star quarterback that's coming to the Badgers, committing to the Badgers. So we'll hit that up with Mr. Cardinal coming up at about 8:20, 8:25 tomorrow. Also, Mike Renner, NFL draft analyst, used to be with Pro Football Focus, now with NBC or CBS Sports. He's going to be joining us on Wednesday to talk a little bit more draft. Mike's been on the program before, so be good to catch up with Mike again as we inch closer and closer to the NFL draft. So maybe we'll work on something for a little get together. If any of our listeners out there are going to the draft, maybe we can all pick out a spot at a certain time, like Thursday during the day or such, and have a little hangout, a little powwow or something like that. So we'll see. I'll see what I can do and try to put some brains together and figure something out with that. So keep posted. Definitely keep you posted on that. All right, there's your shot clock. Have a good rest of your Monday. Again, we'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, same place, same time, 6 a.m. Chat with you then.